right, welcome to a new episode of Winsnotes. I'm your host, Winslow. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back, hanging out. Hope you like the show. Hope you've been all right. If you're new here, it's my little show, my time to just, vent and rant relatively about, stuff that's on my mind. So, longer form than the YouTube channel. If you're not familiar with that, go check in the links in the show notes, all that kind of stuff. That's where you can check me out. But to just kind of get to it, the last month I've been basically living in London. It's hard. It's weird to say. Like you lived in London for a month, but it's longer than a vacation or just kind of a short trip, but it's not also, short enough to be, or did I say that already? Anyway, we're off to a great start. You see, it's been a while since I've done this. But yeah, I'm back home, Kansas City. About to start up the school year because I'm a teacher. Middle school orchestra. More music, more fun. But yeah, just figure this episode I just talk about it, kind of, tell you my journey and how it went and the experience, because it's not often that I get to do anything like this. It's not often that most people get to, travel for an extended amount of time for something that's essentially a hobby, but it's kind of a career, budding career, that kind of thing. And then overseas and how expensive things are. And we'll get into that because, yeah, I pulled it off, but might not be eating all the snacks I want this month. You know what I mean? But before we get to that, a little bit more housekeeping. Like I said earlier, check out all links in the description, show notes, whatever platform you're on. If you listen to this audio, know that there is a video component in case you just want to see my silly facial expressions while I tell a story or, things like that. And also, the YouTube channel has a ton more. So, yeah, catch up on the last episodes, catch up on any of the other things I do. All the links below, show notes, you know where they go. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Smash that notification. Anyway, let's talk about it. So, where do I even begin? I guess let's start with the idea. I've always wanted to make travel first of all, make it an extended trip over to the UK, basically to experience everything I can in whatever amount of time I have. First is going to be a couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks. That's kind of standard for a long trip. I say that as if I've been on one and I haven't since I was a kid. So, yeah. But I wanted to be there longer than a weekend because that's how it's been the last couple times with me coming over for hospitality in the woods last year. Stayed a little bit out longer for the hospitality on the beach in Albania, which there might be an entire episode on that because that was a time. Yeah, but I didn't want to, be in and out and really not experience anything because how I talked about last time or a few episodes videos some time ago about when I went over for hospitality in the woods, that was literally, I left work on a Friday, after work, went home, grabbed my bags, went to the airport, flew all the way to London, got there, sort of slept on the plane, maybe took a nap when I got to my hotel after an hour drive from Heathrow, crashed, was too excited to actually sleep. So I then got up, Ubered, and then went to the hospitality, stayed out to 4 a.m. because, afters is a thing. That was fun. Shout out Mike and the Solvin crew. Yeah, but it was just a whirlwind that, again, didn't feel like happened and didn't give me enough time to, it gave me enough time to meet my friends, play and do that kind of thing, but not enough to really feel like I was there. I mean, it was more or less 48 hours, which is mad to, yeah, not to belabor on that, but I wanted to spend more time. So earlier this year, kind of around I think we'll say March or April, I was just what if this summer, because I have summers off as a teacher, it's what if I just make a long trip? And I was 2 weeks, maybe that. And then coincidentally, I think that same week or a week after, because I was thinking about this for a while. It wasn't a bam, let's go for it. But I got a booking request for, I think, hospitality on the harbor, the one in Bristol, which I'll talk about later in the show. And I was just I could, do the thing where I go in and out, or I can make something of it, make sure I really go, take my time, experience what I can, meet people, actually do the thing I want to do and where the thing I want to do happens, which is drum and bass, music, DJing, all that stuff. So it's like, from there, I just started brainstorming. It's like, how can I pull this off? First thing is like looking at flights. How much are those? It's like 4 or 5 months out, and flights have been stupid since post-COVID and everyone's traveling again. So, but they weren't too bad. I mean, and at some point, I think I might, if like you all are interested, you want like a full-on price breakdown, I'll do that. Cause I mean, it's interesting. Like just be upfront. I spent a lot of money, a lot of my own money. Like this was not financed by hospital or clinic or any other entity outside of like my booking fees for the shows I did. So yeah, this is out of my pocket. I'm not mad about anything. I mean, I'd rather do that than kind of be on the hook or feeling like I'm on the hook for someone else paying, But yeah, so it's out of my pocket. I've been saving I'm a saver anyway, outside of buying music crap. Because then my wallet's like, please don't buy any more cents. Don't buy any more. You know what I mean? As I just bought a new laptop. But yeah, so start looking at flights. Flights are normally around 1,000 or a little bit more, just like basic overseas kind of flights from where I am, because there's more connections and stuff I won't bore you with. So I looked in that, I was like, all right, that's for a weekend. I wouldn't want to pull off that kind of flight if I have to pay for it. You know what I mean? But for a month or 2 week long at this point trip, I was like, all right, maybe it seems feasible, Then finding a place to stay. That was the fun part. Mostly because it's like hard to find like a place to stay for a month, like a month at a time. Like, again, a month is like rent, You're not just gonna go rent a place for a month and leave. It's more or less like you gotta find a hotel, hostel, sleep on some couches, that kind of route. And easiest thing after a bunch of looking was, Airbnb. So here I am, just like every day, like, all right, let's try to find one reasonable in a decent spot, not like safety wise, but just like close to where I want to be. So it's not, again, this is me before I went. Now I'm just like, yeah, hop on the tube, go here and here. Like it was scary how easy and how fast like I acclimated, but we'll get to that point in the story. Yeah, it's like I want to be close enough to where it's simple to get like the hospital studios. It's simple to get to Studio 338. It's simple to get to the train station from the airport, all that stuff. So I landed after like a lot of requests and like you can't book this long and a lot of this. And in between all that, I was like, if I'm going to stay for 2 weeks, might as well stay for a whole month. Why not really capture all the time I can? And financially, I could kind of pull it off by that much, seriously. But yeah, I was like, I'm just going to go for, once in a lifetime kind of trip. I like in this time and place of my life, I can pull off, you know what I mean? So I just want to go for it, and totally worth it. I'm just kind of skipping around. So got that all scheduled. Let, clinic know, my booking agency over there. Like I'm just whole month. So if you got anything else, I know now 4 or 5 months early is not enough with how things work over there because bookings are so far in advance. But I got what I could and a lot of other experiences. That was icing on the cake. Point is, I was coming over to experience London. You know what I mean? Half vacation, half work. So got all that out of the way. I know where I'm staying, Airbnb. I know how I'm getting there. That kind of thing. Fast forward, it's time to go. I left here, I think July 6th. Got there July 7th. Stayed till August 3rd. Yeah. And in between that time, so much. Oh my God, so much happened. Yeah, like I kind of said in the vlog thing I did, And there was supposed to be a whole much more videos after that, but I was just caught up in the experience. Like, I could sit here walking around the camera on my phone, taking clips of everything, or I can just, live and be there. I'm not much of a vlogger anyway, but clips here and there. You saw the Instagram stories, all that kind of thing. You followed me. It was a fun trip. So, as most people love to hear about the travel, the getting there. Like how many people? It's like you memorize basically your conversation that you have to have with everybody. Hey, how you doing? Oh, how was the travel? Oh, I went to here, I went there, I went there. Cool. Hey, nice meeting you. And they go do something else. You run into somebody else, hey, how was the trip? And I'm like, I did this and I did this and I did this. Pass on. Next person comes around, you're like, yeah, you have to keep doing that. It was fun. I had my little spiel down. So basically, here's how it went. From KC, Kansas City, to Dallas, Texas, about an hour and a little bit. I think maybe 2 hour layover. Dallas, Texas, flying to Heathrow, 9.5, 10 hours, I think. Not so bad. I mean, I haven't done it a ton, but I'm kind of used to these long haul flights because you don't really have a choice once you get in and they lock the door. You're not really getting off. So you might as well just deal with it. Watch a ton of movies. I think I watched Dune. Really good movie. I haven't read the books, but I imagine I should. I know the old one. David Lynch directed it. Never watched it. I know I have it or had it on VHS. Anyway, derailed. That's how I spent that. Also, kids yelling, whining, all that kind of thing. It was fun. Get to London in the next morning, because I kind of planned it to where if I leave in the evening here, I get there in the morning, and if I ideally sleep on the plane, not a whole lot of jet lag. And it really wasn't. Although I crashed, because once I got off the plane, it's like Heathrow Express all the way to Paddington. That's 20 minutes. Then it's about an hour and some to get from Paddington to Brockley, which is where I was staying. And then I was just like exhausted because it's just so fast paced and people are like moving, and I don't want to be like just stand out like a tourist all too much, like just in the way. You know what I mean? That's just me and my own, I don't know, anxieties of being in a new place, but that's normal. Yeah, and as soon as I got where I was going, I was just like passed out for the rest of the night. Like I got there around to like my Airbnb at like 2 p.m. Didn't leave. Basically slept the whole night. From then the rest of the night, the next day. And then the next day I just went out venturing around. Just like I might as well experience it. Started experiencing things. Hopped back on a tube, went up around the city, walked around. At one point, actually, yeah, did all that. And then I was supposed to meet up at the hospital studio, so I went around there. I found out how long that trip is, basically, because like South London is just kind of not as connected as Central and North London, so it's kind of like a slog to get anywhere south to south. It's what I learned and what most people told me. Just, take the bus and have to walk 20 minutes hospital. HQ, but we had the Solvent night, we recorded the mix for the Solvent Meets Hospital compilation. It was a big back-to-back. You saw that video, how crazy it was. Just like how many DJs and only 4 CDJs and a whole lot of flash drives and not trying to pick out the wrong one so the track stops playing. And it was fun, and it was like a crazy experience because here I am kind of like sort of jet lag, sort of like just tossed. I didn't give my time any time to acclimate. I'm just like, let me just jump right in everything. You know everybody so well, but it's also kind of like you've only met them maybe once or twice and mostly talk to them on the internet, that kind of thing. So you're meeting up with people and it's like you're oddly familiar, but also like, are you? But, overall, such a sick time and just mixed. Like we literally like started maybe 5 p.m. and it went on the rest of the night, basically. Like the videos, I think maybe 2-3 hours long, because we had to cut it off. And then once they cut off the recording and everything, people just kept mixing, kept running around. Like basically like the workday was over. So it was just hanging out and doing stuff, clanging, just talking, hanging out. Like it's just what I like miss about going to shows and what I like love about traveling and like going to these events and these places to meet up with people that are like right there with me. Like they're all doing the same thing. They're all working towards the same thing. And it's so cool that you don't have to talk about work, but when you do, it doesn't sound like work because we're all talking about the same thing, which is just music and DJing and everything that comes around with that. And it's really cool to be able to just like relate in that very like niche thing we're all into. And on that kind of level, which I just honestly don't get all the time, just being where I am, isolated from basically any other producers, DJs, anyone, like even on like a creative kind of pursuit level, trying all the same stuff. Like, so that was like the first of many, just like days of hours long conversations, just like hanging out. And man, like if I would have stopped on that day, I would have been like cloud nine, but the cloud kept going. Good cloud, you know what I mean? But from then we finished the mix, like ordered some, everyone just like, you want to eat? It's like 9-10 o'clock. We're about to head up to, group of us going to head up to XOIO to see the Flavor D residency and see her. And there was, who was it? Flavor D and Moose. There's Ama, Red Light. Once his Clips. Girl came up to me and was like, is that Red Light? And I was like, you mean Clips? But I was like, also, that is Red Light. And anyway, really cool guy. I put a sticker, a Discord BSA sticker, back in the XOIO green room. So if you ever back there, you'll see it next to like Andy C and all these metalheads and all these other ones from people who played there, infiltrated, just like that. Yeah, and this is like all of this is still the second night. Like I got there on Thursday. We're at Friday right now, just to let you know. And then that was entire experience, just like clubbing in London, drum and bass. It's packed for drum and bass, which is not something I'm used to at all, being over here in the States. And it was another one of those just like, how did I get here? Pinch me, I'm dreaming. One of those cheesy, like, we're not in Kansas anymore. Literally not. I'm also not in Kansas now, just to clarify. I live in Kansas City, and funnily enough, Kansas City is in Missouri. There's also a Kansas City, Kansas, but as you learn, being here, you don't go over there. It's kind of like how St. Louis in Missouri, also there's East St. Louis, which is across the river in Illinois, and you don't really go there. Fun little anecdote. So yeah, so many people are like, oh yeah, you're from Kansas. I'm like, Kansas City, it's actually in Missouri. Here's a map, it's fine. Quick little story in the XOIO green room. Met I don't know who he was, why he was back there. British guy. I don't remember your name, but if you were watching and listening to this, it was nice meeting you. And he was like, I'm going over to, like I was just kind of saying something to somebody. And he immediately was like, yo, you American? I was like, yeah, I'm American. It's like, what are you doing all the way over here? I'm like, well, kind of a big deal. I'm like a DJ. No, I didn't say that, but just like, I'm just, hanging out, experiencing stuff. He's like, yeah. He's like, so America, that's kind of crazy, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm going over to America in like a month to meet up with this girl and this whole story I won't get into. But he's like, so you think I'm going to be safe? Because, there's like over here in London, if you fight, you brawl it out, then you dap up at the end and it's like, we're good. You just fought. It's fine. Just two drunks, two geezers. You know what I mean? But in America, you start fighting, someone might pull out a gun and shoot you. I'm like, you watch a little too much news. Just make sure you have a bigger gun. No, joking. But like we had this whole back and forth and, start like he's talking about London and how the news is. I'm talking about America and how stuff is. I'm like, man, you will be fine. I know you're going to Texas and that's like, nah, don't go there. But I'm sorry for anybody who lives in Texas, but anyway, I know the government isn't the people. That's kind of what our conversation was. Like, America on the news isn't America on the ground, the people who just kind of live here, just like London isn't, Anyway, but that was like a cool conversation, just kind of kicked off things and hanging out with the rest of the guys who came up. Yeah. And that was just Friday. And at that point, it was just like, it got to like the middle of the night. I'm like, I'm ready to go. So an app and a $40 Uber home and I was home sleeping when I could have took the tube. I was like, it's literally day 2, day 1, and like some change. I'm not trying to figure this out right now. And of course, London's safe relatively. I'm not stupid. I've been in a city. You know what I mean? I'm not full on touristy. Oh my God, look at that shady character over there. No, it's just like, I'm tired. I'm not doing this whole slog home. Let me just pay for it. So yeah, it was a cool way to see the city too. Just always looking out a window. You picture like you're in a movie, head against the window, got a little song playing in the background. You're just like, you got your little monologue going. Just me. But yeah, overall, for a day and a half, it's crazy. So that Saturday, guess what I did? Absolutely nothing. I just stayed. I really think I stayed inside the entire day. And I just stayed inside the entire day. Like, I was thinking of going out to Phonics because the Exit residency there just started, and D-Bridge was playing. I can't remember who else, because I know the next week I wanted to go and I couldn't go when Workforce was playing. So Jack, if you're listening, I tried to meet up with you again, and that didn't work out because I had a surprise gig. But that's too far ahead in the story. Let's go back a little bit. So we're on this Saturday, right? Absolutely nothing. Just kind of getting set up in my Airbnb, just trying to like feel normal. And it's close. It was pretty hot because it was getting close to the heat wave. We were still like a weekend way out. That was nuts. Anyway, so heat wave. What was I at? Saturday, did nothing. Let's just leave it at that. Like, I literally stayed inside the entire day. I had ordered some groceries like the day before, so I was just making stuff and hanging out, looking out the window. You saw many pictures of like that view I sent. I was at of my place, looking over broccoli, and it was nice. And then the next day, a bit more venturing out. This Sunday, nothing really happens on a Sunday. So it's kind of just exploring, being a tourist, looking at things, walked around like London Bridge and Tower Bridge and all that, like central area. Super fun. Came back at this point. I mean, another thing, walking, I have to drive everywhere when I'm here, and I, ride my bike. I'm aerobically sound. I know, like, I can get up and like bike for hours and, a long time. That's like my thing. But just like walking around, just like hoofing it through the city. It was tiring. It took me a while to get used to that, but it was fun because that's honestly what I wish I could do here. And since I've been back home, I'm like, I can't just hop on the train and go somewhere. I have to drive and be in traffic. And first world problems. But I mean, if I had a choice, I would love, I don't really care for cars outside of needing them to like pick up certain things and, but that's a different conversation, I would love to just take the bus, ride my bike, that kind of thing. You can do that in London. Just lock your bike up safely or you're getting that thing stolen. Maybe. Where am I going with this? Oh yeah, so just like venturing around, came back. I think that the rest of the week was kind of like that. Like, I really did have until I got warmed up to everything, it was just like one day of being out and doing stuff, another day of just sitting inside doing absolutely nothing. The next time would be just being out and about doing stuff, then absolutely nothing. Yeah, it was fun. It was really like what I wanted it to be, like exciting. So not to keep doing this day by day because we'll be here forever. What came back around, what kind of happened next? Saturday. So the next Saturday, when I was talking about like the exit thing, there was the independent label market. It was a bunch of labels out, and I'm forgetting what it's called, but next to King's Cross Station. There's a label market selling vinyl, 7 things. It's hospital was there. They gave me a hat and some shirts because I wear hats and stuff. Anyway, that was cool to hang out. I played a little set in the middle of after these kind of house and techno guys were on spinning vinyl and playing Ableton and being better it's just like a show. Every label's kind of showcasing their sound. Then I got offered to play for represent hospital, which is nice. And just played some tunes, played some of the new stuff off the compilation, Silva Meets Hospital. Go check that one out. Played some other, Hospital, kind of classics, summery vibes, my tunes. It was really nice. It was cool to like see how much drum and bass is kind of like a part of London culture as a whole. Because even people who maybe weren't into it immediately knew like what was coming on, and like you could tell people like just the person that like if I saw them here, I wouldn't think they will care for drum and bass and be like, ew, what's that? You know what I mean? But the same person like there relatively to this, I don't know, analogy or something. It's just like is feeling it. Maybe it's not like their thing, but you know, they're out and about looking through records. It's just, you know, they're a customer or whatever, or just enjoying the ambiance and the space and people having the drinks and stuff. We're just vibing. And that's just like such a cool thing to see because you would not see that here, you know? And then like there's like these little kids, like this little like toddler was just like, whoo, she's like killing. She was like loving the music. And I was just like, that's my crowd. Like I'm reading the crowd from these two little kids who are just losing their mind on the dance floor. Like I was when I was like 3 or 4 at like family functions. There's a whole story about that. Maybe I'll tell it one day because I'm not much of a dancer. But it was just cool to like see, and like everybody was smiling, having a good time. And I'm just kind of playing these tunes that, of course, you know, me coming up to DJ, I'm just like, oh, what do I do? And this is a completely different like context for the music that I normally play. And it still went off. It was just like so sick. Like Chris Goss warmed it up to transfer from the guys before us who are, you know, playing like some down tempo stuff. So he goes in, you know, starts off deep microfunk, Blue Martin kind of sound, and then brings it up, and then wham, I jump in with some summery, you know, liquid, you know, that kind of thing. Like what I like, swingy stuff. Like when I just bam, dance floor, jump up in rollers, like, you know, play for the crowd, play for the context you're in, right? DJing 101, let's go. But yeah, and just rolled it out for like 45 minutes, and it was so sick. Chris kept trying to turn it up. The sound guy was like, turn it down. It was funny. I'm just trying to mix. Don't like get me in trouble, you know? But again, just like the experience of not like, I know how to, like DJing's fine. Like I'll DJ anywhere. But it's like it's what's going on around, and like I'm people watching and kind of like gauging the scene and seeing how people are like reacting and stuff. But it's like the context is they're not really here. Like I'm background. Like no one's here to necessarily listen to me or the music. They're like shopping, and there's other shops going around, and they're just hanging out on a Saturday. And here I am playing some tunes, and you know, you can catch somebody like mid conversation, like, oh, that tune, okay. And just like, and that's just enough for me to like to warn, like it was just so sick, you know? It just was. Yeah, then from like after that, like I met a bunch of people who like Chris Goss, head of hospital. We just went out to dinner, like around the way. We were moving stuff around. Like I met his brother, met some friends, his friends. We talked about stuff. Went like to dinner. It was super expensive. They're the execs. They have the money. I'm like, yo, can we just get some Mickey D's? But you know, when in Rome or London, do as a Londoners do. You know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah. I mean, then like from there, let's go back. That morning, I got like a call from a good friend. Toronto is broken. Christian runs Yana, You Are Not Alone. Is it Yana? You Are Not Alone. I just said it like, anyway. That label, really good friends with him for a while. And he's just like, hey, one of our artists couldn't get over for this event we're having tonight, which I was already going to because he invited me. I was like, cool. And he's like, do you want to play? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. So, you know, before I even go out to like the label market, I was like prepping stuff. Like I'm playing a set tonight, which was sick because, you know, by this time, a week and a half in, week and some, I'm like the tube master. You tell me where to go, pop up city mapper, I'm gone. You know what I mean? So by that time I was like, yeah, let me just go around there. I was going from King's Cross to like Whitechapel kind of area with the castle. If you know that venue, kind of like a bar upstairs, dingy basement, perfect for drum and bass, you know, that kind of area. I don't know if dingy is the word. Like I say that with respect, utmost respect, respectively. You know what I mean? It was so sick to just like meet those guys and the people that came out and just like experience what I hear other people's stories of just like, oh, I played in this place and then I had to nip over to this other place and to play another set and I had to go here. And I was like, I've never experienced anything like that. I usually go play for an hour somewhere around here. And then it's like I come home and like mess with the cat for a bit till I crash. But it's like, here's a show and here's this. I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm living this life and glamorous. No, I'm just like, you know what I mean? But it's, you, like I very much try to stay grounded and like, aware of what I'm like, kind of what I'm doing, almost in like a meta kind of fashion. I'm just like, look at you going here, now going there. Like I'm in my head narrating my actions in a weird, like, yeah, I mean, that's probably a thing I should get looked at, right? Um, but it's always, again, just like me kind of living adjacent to how, because I'm just like, so stuff is moving and I'm so in the moment and I never am. I'm always like looking, unless I'm like writing something like music, I'm sitting here like working on a track. I'm really just like always thinking ahead or thinking about stuff, not in like an anxiety kind of way, even though that's kind of there, but just like that's what I'm interested in. Just like the next thing, not necessarily like the hustle, like I got to do it, but I'm just like thinking, but I was just so in the moment for this whole trip really that it felt like so much was happening and I was so busy and I was always left exhausted at the end of the day just because there was so much going on. So I like played a set there. I went to dinner. I like went on top of this hotel, saw this crazy view of the whole city. I take the tube. I'm a little buzzed because we had fun. I had like a drink, a beer. It's London. Like you guys, there's no wait till 5 o'clock. But so I'm just like in the middle. I'm walking on the street. It seems like it's super insignificant, kind of like looking, not insignificant maybe, but it's like it's a normal thing. But it's like at this other level because I've never experienced it. And here I am just like in the middle of it. I can't just like, oh, I'm tired. Let me go home because home is like 4,000 or 5,000 miles away. You know what I mean? So there's this level of unease that's really motivating and kind of fulfilling, but also exhausting. Anyway, played that show, didn't do the Uber route home. I actually just jumped on the train and went all the way almost home because I didn't know that the station I was going to for this one weekend was the train wasn't running, the overground. It stopped at New Cross Gate and it didn't go to the next one, the Broccoli. So I got off in New Cross Gate and I was like, what do I do? It's like the middle of the night. Am I just going to walk it? Am I going to take a bus? I didn't feel like waiting, so I walked. It was fun, but it was a long walk. But in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., it wasn't hot. It was a nice breeze. I just had like the time of my life in one day. And up to this point, at least in the story, because it gets better, sort of. But I hope you guys follow this story. Like this is interesting or something. Give me a like if it's interesting, or a follow or subscribe, any of that. Am I still recording? Cool. New setup, so I don't know. We're going for a half hour. Nice. We'll see if I can finish this out in an hour. So, yeah, that 20-minute walk home, it was nice. Another like way to feel like immersed in the city. It's like I'm just walking through a neighborhood, which is nothing I haven't done before, but it's odd enough because I'm in, Southeast London. I'm in where houses look different and you're like, it's still a street, but this street looks a little different. Cars on the other side of the road. It's enough to like throw you off, but not make you feel 100% uneasy or uncomfortable. It's something, which was so cool. But yeah, got there, got back to my room, crashed. Next day, absolutely nothing. That night I wanted to go to the Phonics thing with Exit, but it was like so late, and they went to like 6 a.m. and while I could have went, I was exhausted, but I really wanted to. But yeah. Anyway, so I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah. But from there, what else? I'm like, look at the notes. I didn't even write anything. Anyway, that was kind of like how things went. Like every other day I was out doing something, either being a tourist or still being a tourist or just trying to, I'm not, I was a tourist, obviously, but I don't like to, let's go look at this thing and do this tour and do this thing. And I was waiting for that because my girlfriend was going to be there in another week at this point. Oh, that's what happened afterwards. So just remembered. So after that night, anyway, I'm all over the place. Again, on that same topic, not only really want to be a tourist, but I like when I just go places, I like to feel like I live there. I just like to be, on the ground doing things as people there would do it. And I also just don't like drawing attention to myself. So, while I'm being self-conscious, like, oh, do this right, because people are going to think, oh, look at this American. It's like, wait, if I don't say anything, if I don't like visually, I don't know, look American. Like, there's nothing really like tying me to anywhere. I don't know. But as soon as I talk, people are like, oh, I get that. Like, they don't bring it up, but they're like, oh, that's an accent I haven't heard. Because, London is such like a multicultural area to where almost everyone kind of has a different accent, from just, London accents and UK accents from where you grew up, but like, Indian, Asian, Southeast Asian, or like Eastern Asian, like Chinese, Japanese, blah, blah, blah. There's just so many all in one. And in America, you just get, where I am, you just get Midwestern, which is, yeah. Anyway, it's one of those things. Seems insignificant, but when it's not something you're introduced to all the time, it kind of, you remember it. But anyway, so after Saturday, Sunday rolls around. That's how time works. Sunday rolls around, and I went to Croydon. We're down south from where I was to Croydon, and met up with Mr. Porter and Micah's. Why am I drawing a blank? Met up with Mr. Porter, Micah's brother James, or it goes by Shiva as well. Basically, like the Goldfat crew. We hung out for the day, which is sick. Just walking around the city. I hadn't really been in Croydon outside of, that's where I stayed that weekend that I went to Weekend in the Woods. And I kind of saw a couple things, but not much because I didn't venture out because I was at the festival the whole time. But that was cool, like just kind of being there, experiencing that part. Like it feels different, but it's still like, Greater London, but it's Croydon and its own thing. It's like, but people argue like, it's not. But so that was nice. And then getting to hang out with the guys. Like I had met them before at Weekend in the Woods previously. And like we've been talking for years on the internet and like Zoom and stuff. So we know each other, but it was cool just like a meet up and have a chat about everything, like learn about what they're doing with the label and stuff. Cause Goldfat's been just killing it. All because of me. Since I joined, it's just been the best thing ever. That is a joke. Halfway. Anyway. But speaking of Goldfat, might as well plug something. We got an EP. But Goldfat has an EP coming out by my man Note from out of Manchester. It's Precious Tender Things, and it's so good. Like, let's just have a little moment. Note, you are killing it. Like, I'm jealous of how your songs sound because I wish I could have wrote something like that, and I've been playing them out as much as possible for whatever that's worth. Keep killing it. But anyway, Goldfat, I'm happy you replaced me. I'm joking. Anyway, but yeah, it was cool to hang out with the guys and just like experience stuff. It was so hot. Like the heat wave was building up. Yeah, got some ice cream with the homies. Went around. And then, long story short, I had some jerk chicken, real jerk. Yep. It was good. I can't remember the spot, but yeah, definitely want to go back. So after I finished that up, hopped on the tube back up to where I was, then I grabbed my stuff and hung out for an hour because I was taking the train up to Peterborough to meet up with Syran, the Syran boys, the bros, Captain Syran, Josh and James, and met up with them. I met up with Josh. Right, did you? Yeah. And then we drove up to Spalding because that's where they live. We just hung out. it was cool to finally just like us, because like that's like we talk to each other every day, all the time, going through like kind of the same stuff. Like he was getting into RAM and like really finding his place there, while I was like finding my place in like hospital in the beginning and doing all that stuff. And we've just kind of been like really good friends since then. And like one of the first people to, I talked to on there once I kind of got into drum bass and everything, and joined the server, BSA, join it, links in the description, and stuff. So like we're good friends. It was cool to just kind of meet up for longer than a weekend, because we had met up before a weekend in the woods. And we just hung out there and made we made one tune. We make one tune, like another idea. And we're gonna keep working on that. Had DJ and stuff, because he has like his whole setup, and just kind of talked and honestly just hung out. Plus, it was just really freaking hot because of the heat wave. And on Heatwave day 1, we went to Skegness. And if you know what Skegness is, then you know just how much of the pride of the UK is Skegness, is what I'm hearing, which is pretty sick. It was sick in the kind of way like you want to experience, but it's not like somewhere you might go all the time, I don't know. At least that's how it's been explained. But it was really, what's going on outside? Anyway, it's a really good time, man. We went out there, got fish and chips. This like pirate theme plays. Matey, come get something. And it's like, you want to? And it's just another moment. Like I'm ordering, trying to just like get my order ready, because that's how I'm running in my head. This is what I'm gonna say. Then the lady like couldn't hear me, and then like caught onto my accent. I got another, but like no one like addresses it, but they give you the oh, okay. Not thinking I was gonna hear that today in American. But yeah, did that, walked around, ate out, kicked a few pigeons around, because there's pigeons everywhere. I like pigeons. I don't know. Went to the casino, which I called it, which is just like the arcades and stuff. I got lucky and won like 9 pounds on this little like slot machine thing. And then subsequently lost it all, lost the rest of it. But you win some, you lose some. That wasn't going to pay for my trip anyway. Yeah, then walked around like the beach, got some ice cream. Sounds like a date, and it was pretty fun, by the way. It was just cool, man. We were just hanging out. Yeah. And it wasn't too bad, because you're by the coast, the wind's blowing, everything, even though it's like 40 C outside, which is like 100 something in freedom units. And then the next day, we went back, whatever, worked on stuff. Next day, started working on two, and it was so like you walk outside and you're like, like burning hot. And that's kind of when everything started getting weird and like going downhill as far as me getting back home. Because when I was going to leave, like the trains were canceled both days because of the heat wave, like stuff melting, like there's wildfires basically, which doesn't happen. Like the place, we went to this park in Croydon on like that Sunday when I went to visit the guys. And they're like, it was just like a joke around, like, what if, like, if you drop, it's so dry, like, what if you, like, drop a cigarette or something and the whole place lights on fire? Next day, I get sent an article from Mr. Porter, like, this whole park we just went to the day before was burnt down because of the heat wave and, like, wildfires and stuff like that. And it was crazy to, like, see. And, like, all this other stuff started happening. So the trains were delayed because of the heat, or canceled because of the heat. And then, so I like stayed there an extra night. And then the next morning, I just happened to wake up. Trains were canceled again. I was like, I'm not going to make it back. Because this same day, it was July 19th at this point. My girlfriend was flying in. So I was trying to get back to London so I could meet up with her and then get back to the Airbnb, because I had the key anyway. And like, she wasn't going to just throw her into it to figure out everything. Like, she would have been fine, but also, why would you do that? So I tried to get there, and long story short, it worked out. Like, I happened to get on the first like express train direct to London. Otherwise, it would have been like 3-4 hours, or I probably wouldn't have left that morning, catch a bus or drive. And it was crazy. Like, that was a hectic morning, but we made it. And yeah, back in London, back doing that. Yeah, girlfriend got there. We met up at the station. I was exhausted and it was hot. So hot. I mean, even though the temperature is coming down, like it was hot, you know what I mean? But can you guys just invest in like air condition? I know like it's not something that you really need because it never really gets that hot there. But yeah, it'd be useful, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So from there, it was getting home, normal stuff, getting settled in, kind of recovering from all that heat, everything. And yeah, like it was a lot of that. Like I know it's probably a boring story at this point, but that's kind of what happened. But the next day, that Wednesday, July 20th, was my birthday. Turned 29. I'm old now. Knees don't work how they used to. We went up to Rinse to record the hospital show for the next week. It was me, Mountain, and Emmylou, who it was finally cool to meet them because, talk to on the internet all the time. You finally like catch up with each other. Mountain just moved over to London. Emmylou came down from Glasgow. She's not from Edinburgh. Matt. Anyway, if you heard the show, you know what I'm talking about. And that was really cool. This kind of mix, hang out, that kind of thing. I actually do like at the Rent Studios. It was something. But yeah, did that, and the next day I started like working with some other people. So next day after that, it was studio session at the hospital studio with Urban Dawn. Felipe is the man, such a nice guy. And like, I'm trying not to fan out while I'm working with him and just hanging out with him while he's playing the guitar. And just like, he's just such a cool guy. Kind of spend some time with. Like we worked on a tune, got a couple ideas down. One of them definitely will probably turn into something. We just caught up with each other. I showed him some of my new tunes. He, showed me some of his is coming out because he's working on his album and things like that. And just the day was sick. Went out to eat, caught up, really, got to know each other, things like that. So that was like a really, really, really like fun time. And it was kind of the whole point of the trip was like just to meet other artists and like collaborate and get to know people and like experience this stuff. And he just happened to be there because he's all over the place. Yeah, so that's what we did that day. Friday, absolutely nothing. Saturday was 338, Hospitality Weekend in the Woods warm up, which was sick. Like 338's the place. Security is everything. All the stories I heard, security was just that. Even for me on the artist side, I didn't get felt up all that much, but I got close to some of the guards, And then, but after that, it was cool. Just hanging out with the boys, with everyone. Girlfriend came up, experienced it. Met up with Charlie Perspective, who came by. And Hallow was there, also BS, just the whole BSA crew. Mazzy, meeting everybody. Side note, if you're listening to this, and if this came out when I wanted it to come out, that means this Friday, from whenever you're listening whenever this show is published, this Friday, August 9th, 16th, 19th, it's one of those. I don't know, it's Friday. My first single off my new EP is coming out as a collab with Perspective. It's called Slapbox Funk. And yeah, it's a banger. It's something. It's both of us making something that sounds like both of us, which is always good. And it means that I got new music coming out. So, this one's coming out this Friday, whenever this is published, and then 2 weeks from that date, September 2nd, which my EP is coming out. It's called Thinking of You. Because the title track on the EP is Thinking of You, featuring track, kind of a follow-up to Breaking News in a sense, and, just doubles down on that formula we worked out. Yeah, and there's more stuff from us coming in, and a couple more tracks. So check those out. Get ready. Follow all the links in the description, all that stuff. You know what I mean? But back to 338, crazy. It was hot. It was hot there. Like there wasn't like the general like heat wave going on, but it was just hot. A lot of bodies, a lot of heat. Got intense. But upstairs, they had the Solvent stage, which was sick because it had air conditioning. But the air conditioning only worked for so long because once it got packed in there, it was hot again. Bodies make heat, that kind of thing. Overall, wonderful experience. Paying for drinks that cost that much, not so much. But, hey, you win some, you lose some. You win slow or wins fast. I don't know. But yeah, that was that was sick. Yeah, I mean that night that was just it was a gig. I feel like I talked about this at some other point, but it was cool. Like me and Ruthless played because we played together the next week in Bristol, and yeah, it was just nice to kind of experience what I've been looking at on videos and stuff forever. It's nice to just kind of be there and doing the thing that you dreamt about doing. You know what I mean? And yeah, me doing my normal just run around once I'm done working and just experiencing things and talking with everybody. That was always the highlight. Running into other artists and stuff. Always fun. Yeah, I mean, other than like the rest of the trip, I could keep going like day by day, but it really was like do tourist stuff, go to the hospital studios, and work just either by myself or like with somebody. Like, had another studio session like the week later with Hugh Hardy, which was sick. We came up with a couple ideas. He's just really nice. Like if you think I'm like not in this moment, like talking and like telling a story, but if you think I'm like laid back and calm and radio voice, like he is just like another level of just relaxed and chill. And it was super nice to hang out, Hugh. And I need to get on that project and get some stems bounced so we can like actually finish this thing up. But yeah, that was sick. And just like kind of talking, getting to know him. Because we had talked a couple times on the internet, but like a whole day of just like, it's just kind of us making a tune, leaving to go get lunch, coming back, making a tune, mixing, just, yeah, it was nice. And again, not to belabor the day-to-day thing, but yeah, it was sick. Like the whole trip was just like there, but it was just like, it's fun. Exhausting, but it was fun. I mean, what else happened? Like a couple of things like I did a mix for Represent for Pale Blue. That was like the last day before I left, and a couple other, like there was no more shows. There was the Bristol show, which that was mad, like getting there because trains were just like, it was a rail strike day that Saturday. So like I was like, find one train and hope you get on it, or take like the 3-hour mega bus. And I took the train there, about to take the bus back. It wasn't too bad. And it was fun. Bristol's madness is just like, they're a completely different thing. Like everybody's just going so hard from the beginning. Like I'm warming up and like guys are like, I got off stage and saw a guy getting like carted off by like emergency services, and like, cause people just going too hard already. But yeah. So that was cool. I did my normal, okay, I'm not working, let me grab my camera. Because I hadn't really taken any photos of anything up to this point. Because normally I just like have it. Like I had it with me every day, but like, again, just experience stuff and not like hiding behind a camera lens or whatever. But I took some photos of that, posted them on Instagram if you saw that. Not enough to make another gallery out of, like I did with the hospitality on the beach photos. But yeah, something to pass the time. Be in the crowd, get recognized, because that's the thing now. Took a ferry across the river to look at this old boat with Micah's, Hallow, and one of Micah's friends. I can't remember your name, but it was cool to meet you. Oh, look at Winslow. You can't even bother to remember somebody's name. No, that's not, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was all the time. Oh yeah, Beeson, Harry. Why am I forgetting you? Yeah, Beeson, the wine man, the man of brown sugar, sommelier. The BSA sommelier is Beeson, by the way. I keep talking about BSA. If you don't know what that is, it's Bad Snares Anonymous. It's my like thing, I guess. Discord server turned into like a support group for, producers, mostly in the realm of drum and bass, who are terrible at making snares. No, that's just kind of the name. But, like we all work together, It's one of those Discord servers that actually stayed with the plan it's set out for, to kind of be a community and grow and like learn from each other instead of just devolving into memes and stupid posts and whining about why, how, like internet culture, let's just put it there. It's like, it's a nice place to, I do say so myself. So if you want to join, go in the description, all those links. I keep saying the same thing, but yeah, it's nice. I mean, come on. I'm a part of it. I made this. I set up the spot, but I didn't, we all make it what it is. Anyway, so yeah, that was Bristol. I warmed it up. It was kind of odd. Like I got there early and we were just walking around, me, Harry, Beeson, and Hallow. And like I'm warming up, so I got to get there early, me being me. And like 15 minutes early, they went, like, I guess things were kind of like weird. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not behind the house working up things, but yeah, we kind of just got in, kind of just walked in before there was too much security around. And then I just went up to the stage and was like, all right, do I start? Because no one's around here to tell me. I haven't seen anybody or talked to anybody. No one was even like, hey, Winslow, are you here? Which I'm not complaining. It was just like, I'm telling you the story of like why it was kind of weird to just like start playing when I was supposed to, but no one told me to. It was like, yeah. And then I just rolled it out with the smoothest stuff. And New Tone was on next, and that was sick. I'm gonna kind of skip over the set and some stuff. I mean, it was a set. I DJ'd. There's nothing really to talk about. Not a lot of clanging. I heard that afterwards. It's like, you keep telling people you clang. This is from Degs and Hallow. It's like, but you don't. So you're kind of like false advertising. Sorry. But anyway, yeah. But Beeson had like his little dad cam he found we had talked about beforehand. So he brought it and like got a bunch of clips that looks like old VHS. So I'm gonna like edit those together and maybe put them out in a little bit. But yeah, overall, it's crazy time. Crazy. I got, which you'll probably see at some point in the coming weeks, I got given the mic again to do some more talking for hospital video. Yeah, so that'll be something. For a whole thing, by the way. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's just like Winslow experiences London or becomes a Londoner for a day, and we do like the full English and the going to club and doing all this other stuff. So yeah, you'll see that in a bit. But yeah, after that, I was just like, I was kind of just like, I mean, because like the rail strike, I would have had to leave at like 5:30. I think that was like the last train out. And by the time I looked up, I was just wandering around and kind of doing stuff. I had already missed the train. So I was like, here we go. It's going to take the bus 2.5 hours back home. And that's what happened. And it was a nice bus ride. Like, all things considered, a lot of people on the bus, but that's what you get. We were on packed like sardines. It wasn't hot. I just kind of phased out, listened to my new favorite album of the past month, because it's only been out for a month, which is Not Tight by Domi and JD Beck, which is like, I listened to that on the way to Bristol, and I listened to that on the way home from Bristol. Like, and I've listened to it like over and over since. Like, it's my favorite like non-drum and bass album right now. My favorite drum and bass album at the moment is Kilburn, Zero T and Orange, with LSB's album a close second. But that's not what this is about. Anyway, yeah. And this is the part where you say some more. Anyway, yeah, I mean, without like, belaboring my everyday, that's kind of everything that happened. And maybe I'll do like another follow-up episode with stuff I remembered, like specific things, go deep in. Just, as usual, let me know in the comments on like social media, anything. This is a back and forth, If you got a story, say you were there with me or something, let's talk about it. And as just to put it out there, while this is usually like a solo thing with me talking into this microphone in front of a camera, it's just, if you want to make an episode, we could talk, just let me know. Winsnotes plus guest, you know what I mean? Anytime. But yeah, let's just go. Overall, like, I'm so happy I decided to do this and just went through with it. And even with the financial emptying of my wallet and bank account, somewhat. It was totally worth it. Like, am I going to do it again next year? I don't know. Maybe. I'm still kind of like sore from the trip. It's only been like 2 weeks I've been here. And when I got here off the plane, after all of that, I was like, that whole month just happened because it just felt like a blip. But, it's kind of how everything just like the Thanos snapped and I was back home. Like, I really just do all that. And I'm looking through my phone like, yeah, that happened. But yeah, overall, the trip was 100% worth it. And I feel like everybody should make that kind of trip. Like, if you're from London, the UK, and you know what experience, like, whatever. You guys have it nice, easy. For drum and bass, not everything, because I got there and Boris was like ejected. And then now, like, Tories are doing their own thing. And those problems or Trump and this nonsense over here. Anyway. But as far as drum and bass, you guys are spoiled. And I wish. So any American thinking about making the trip over, do it. I wouldn't say stay a whole month, 2 weeks, and make sure you plan. I mean, there's always something going on. So, a week or two to make it worth the time and the money like it takes to get there. Definitely do it because it's a completely different experience. Like me going and talking to Hallow who went over and they're like, I want to move. Like, this is exactly what I want. I was like, this is exactly what I want to. But it's just so hard to move. And like, so I'm going to be going back and forth and hopefully things pick up to where I can, stay a bit longer or make kind of ideally at some point, I would love to just kind of live over, not necessarily London, but Europe, that area, just so I can like be there and it's easier to like travel, because like traveling from the US to this city over there, then coming back home and then going, like it's not worth the time or the money, like, but to live there for a couple years and really just like make roots and do everything I can and then possibly come back to the States or find somewhere else to go, that'd be awesome. And I'm going to do that at some point. Like I want to, and when I want to do something, I figure out a way to do it. So it'll happen at some point. Will I like completely move and become British and tea every day? I even drank tea today, by the way. Probably not, but a couple years to wear out a visa or whatever. It'd be nice. Yeah. So like next year, I don't know. But now would be the time to start planning so I can like financially even it out with like more gigs and plan and stuff. But I'm also still a teacher. So I got to work through that, past that, around that, even though I love teaching. So it's more just what do I want to do and plan for whatever that is, So that's kind of the whole story without getting into too much. Yeah. What else? I took some notes. I told you about travel. Travel back was the same. Long flight, long trip, long this, long that. Watching a lot of movies. Ghostbusters. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is a 10 out of 10 movie. And it's probably my new favorite movie. And I watched it on the way back here. And it's so crazy. It's like so up my street of just humor with like the thought provokingness of it and just like the storyline. I was literally in tears at the end. Like I don't cry often because I'm a man and I'm just kidding. I cry when I need to. But like movies and stories, because I totally love immersing myself in movies. This is a weird tangent, but we're basically at the end of the episode. So thanks for listening. I just like putting myself in a good story. And when I'm like that engrossed, and I'm on a plane for hours. I got nothing else to pay attention to. So this is my life. I am everything, everywhere, all at once. As far as I'm concerned, for the 2 hours and however it ran. This is such a weird tangent. Thanks for listening, by the way. So at the end, I'm like, man, it's so like, not sad. It's just like fulfilling. And like the story wraps up nicely and crazy. And it's like, I see myself in this character. And I'm like tearing up. My girlfriend's like next to me snoozing because she's not like used to this. Like I can stay up the entire plane and just watch movies, but yeah. And then after that, I watched Ghostbusters because it's a classic, Are you the key maker? No, anyway. But if I remember anything, I'll just stick it in another episode and make a short video. But that was it. That was my trip to London. I would 100% do it again. And when I do it again, I will plan a lot better so I can actually be there and hopefully have more gigs, meet up with more people, like friends and stuff. Because of course, there's a lot of downtime, and it's still like I'm off work and experiencing stuff, but other people aren't. So it'd be cool to like plan more things. Like I talked to Dalima at Hospital on the Beach, and then we were supposed to go meet up, but the time never really worked out. So Piper, I'm sorry, but I'm going to meet up with you again at some point because we got to make some tunes. And yeah, like I could have went to Liquidity, but I did have a gig that day, but I also could have went the week before that I didn't have a gig. And then I could have planned that out and then, ventured out more and did some more like go to Scotland and Ireland and all those kind of touristy stuff. But, you learn that after you do the thing. You learn everything you probably should have done and planned ahead and, that kind of thing. So next time I go, it's going to be an experience for sure. Yeah. I tried to put in like a Star Wars, a surprise, but a welcome one, whatever that is. Anyway. Yeah. So that's my trip to London. This has been Winsnotes episode 16. As usual, if you like these kind of things, and maybe this episode wasn't your cup of tea, but another one might be, Yeah, so check it out. Episode 16, Winsnotes. Go check all the links in the description and show notes. Follow me. Again, by the time this is published, on the weekend, Friday, my new single, Slapbox Funk with Perspective, will be out on Hospital, and you'll see the artwork by then, which is grade A, 10 out of 10. If you like cats, and then my annoying looking cat. And then the full EP is out on September 2nd. It's Thinking of You EP. There's 4 tracks. And there's 1 track, which is track, TRAC. Don't forget the dots, to rule and conquer. We're working on stuff, but that's a future project that may or may not. Who knows? Not going to spill the beans on that one just yet, but we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching, listening, wherever you were. And I'll see you next time. Later.